Amara was only 21 when she found the apartment. It was hidden on the third floor of an aging brick building, the kind of place people walked past without noticing. The hallways smelled of dust and something faintly rotten, and the air felt heavier than outside, as if the building itself was tired of standing. Still, the rent was unbelievably cheap, too cheap for the city, and Amara couldn't afford to be picky. The landlord, a thin man with gray hair and hollow eyes, barely spoke when showing her the place. He handed her the keys with a stiff smile, then leaned closer, lowering his voice. "There is one rule. Do not bring mirrors inside. Not a single one." His eyes locked on hers with an intensity that made her uneasy. Amara forced a laugh and nodded, but deep down she thought he was strange, maybe even unwell. The first days were fine, but the apartment felt incomplete without reflections. The bathroom had no mirror above the sink, the closet doors were bare, even the hallway that surely once had a wall mirror was empty. The walls seemed to reject their own reflections. At first, she thought she could live with it, but soon, small things began to happen. She noticed the silence wasn't true silence. At night, she could hear faint creaks, like someone pacing in the apartment above, but she lived on the top floor. On the third night, she woke up suddenly at 3:07 a.m. The red glow of her digital clock burned in the dark as she lay listening. Slow, heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway outside her room. She sat up, her breath shallow. When she opened her bedroom door, the hallway was empty, the air still. She shut the door quickly and tried to convince herself it was a neighbor. But the next night, the same thing happened. The footsteps stopped at her door. She lay frozen, clutching her blanket, listening as the handle rattled softly, as if something was testing the lock. Her body shook with terror until dawn. By the end of the week, Amara couldn't take it anymore. She missed her reflection, missed the comfort of knowing her face hadn't changed under the weight of fear and sleepless nights. Against the landlord's rule, she bought a small desk mirror. She placed it on her nightstand and stared at her tired eyes, telling herself everything would feel normal again. That night, she woke again at 3:07 a.m. The footsteps were there, louder than ever, and this time they didn't stop at her door, they came inside. The air grew cold, her breath fogging in the dark. She grabbed the mirror in panic and held it up. At first she saw only herself, pale and wide-eyed. Then her reflection moved. It smiled, slowly stretching its lips into a grin she hadn't made. Its eyes darkened, and it tilted its head to the side before raising one finger and pointing at her. Amara screamed and dropped the mirror. It hit the floor and cracked. She buried her face in her pillow until dawn, trembling. In the morning, she told herself it was a dream. But when she checked her phone, her stomach dropped. There was a new photo in her gallery. It was of her, asleep in bed. The timestamp read 3:07 a.m. From that night on, everything changed. Even without the mirror, reflections began to appear. In the blank screen of her laptop, in the glass of her window, in the dark TV screen, she saw herself smiling back, lips stretched too wide, teeth too sharp. When she looked away, the grin lingered a moment too long, as if the reflection didn't want to let her go. The footsteps grew bolder. She began hearing whispers with them, low and indistinct, circling her bed in the darkness. Sometimes she felt cold fingers brush her arm or move her hair while she lay paralyzed with fear. Her apartment door began to rattle violently at night, but when she checked in the morning, the lock was untouched. On the 10th night, she sat in bed wide awake, clutching her phone like a weapon. The footsteps came, steady and deliberate. She heard breathing, ragged, heavy, right beside her ear. She turned on her phone's flashlight, but the room was empty. Then she noticed her phone camera had opened by itself, recording. On the screen, she wasn't alone. A second face hovered over her shoulder, grinning. By the 11th night, she decided to leave. She packed her suitcase in tears, shoving everything she owned into it. She dragged the bag to the door, heart racing. But the lock wouldn't turn. She pulled and twisted until her fingers bled, but the door was fused shut, the key useless in her hand. Behind her, she heard the shards of the broken mirror rattling in the trash. She turned slowly, terror flooding her chest. From the glittering shards, something was crawling out. It had her face, her hair, her body, but it wasn't her. Its skin was pale as wax, its grin stretched impossibly wide, and its eyes were black pits. It stepped onto the floor and straightened, its head cocking to one side as it studied her. In her own voice, distorted and hollow, it whispered, "You shouldn't have brought the mirror." Amara backed away, her scream caught in her throat, as the figure reached out with a cold, trembling hand. The lights flickered, and in the moment they went out, the figure was upon her. The next morning, the landlord checked the apartment. He found it empty. No clothes, no bags, no trace of Amara at all. Only a cracked mirror lay on the bedroom floor. When he bent down to pick it up, his hand froze. In the reflection, Amara's face stared back, smiling.